appreciate the opportunity from all of our sponsors to have their voices heard. And we're joined now for a really short session focused on one of the topics that came up earlier, and that is the need for an additional understanding of the economic impact of agriculture and the opportunities to be even more productive. So I'm joined today with John Bode, who's the president and CEO of Corn Refiners Association, and Alex Dunn, who's the CEO of CropLife America this is her third day on the job, she told me. So y'all have a chance to meet Alex. So with that, John, you're in the throes of releasing a new report. So tell us about feeding the economy.
Okay, we'll do Sara, but the slides are not moving for me, so I'll ask if there's any help from the back. Here we go. So feedingtheeconomy.com is the name of the report, and this is a report on the next slide, shows how we've had a broad cross-section of trade associations from producers groups all the way through retail working together. And this is the 8th year we've done it. And last year's report was named one of the top 10 economic reports in the world. And the next slide shows that we have a food and agriculture system that many people don't really understand. Sara, you and I grew up in production agriculture. We always think about on the farm, that's where it starts, and of course, that's the foundation. That's the top of the pyramid. We know there are about 2.5 million people working in production agriculture. Not many people appreciate that there are about 2.5 million people in the U.S. manufacturing agricultural products. And from that, it goes on where there is a much larger population block of employment in agriculture working in wholesale and retail. But those are all interdependent. And we like to say in corn refining that our industry exists because American corn farmers are the most efficient in the world at producing carbohydrates. So it's all interconnected. The top 3 blocks are direct. Then there are all the suppliers, the makers of agricultural equipment, fertilizers, also advertising, financial support. And so it's a big impact. What does that mean overall? Agriculture supports about 20% of the U.S. economy. And then I will move to one more slide to quickly point out on this manufacturing aspect. I see my friend Michael Dykes from Dairy Foods. That's an example. This is a chart that shows manufacturing jobs in the U.S. overall. Look, food and agriculture accounts for 18% of the manufacturing jobs in the U.S., 2.5 times as many as automobile manufacturing. There is a myth that agriculture's interests are hostile to manufacturing in many cases. That is just wrong. Agriculture is a fundamental supporter of manufacturing.
And thanks, John. You also were talking a little bit about some of the trends that you've seen in the report over the years.
Yes, Sara. I've got to say congratulations on 20 years of Agri-Pulse. That's a big trend. On the next slide shows that we have had agriculture we all know that it is amazingly diverse, it is big, but it is stunningly resilient. Look at how agriculture, total economic impact, has sprung back since the pandemic. And the next slide shows also how jobs have surged back in food and agriculture since the pandemic. And the final slide tells you what's most important. the website, feedingtheeconomy.com. There is a wealth of data there that the Food and Agriculture associations have put together for you. Please go check it out. That information is available at the national, state, and congressional district level.
Thank you, John. I just thought that was so important as we're going to be celebrating National Ag Day tomorrow, and to have some of the data to support the impact of this industry that's so important to all of us. So Alex, you have also commissioned a report that is going to be released soon. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Sara. And thanks for the invite. Great to be here. John, what an exciting report. Day 3 of the job. Welcome, Ag. So happy to be here. Honored to be in this space. So yeah, we have a new report coming out. We don't have slides yet. That's how new it is. We have commissioned a life cycle assessment, an LCA. And what does that mean? We wanted to understand the environmental impacts from the use of conventional pesticides. And so we've been working with the University of Arkansas. I don't know if we have any alum out there. Any woots, shouts? No? All right, woot, there we go. There might be another call for Arkansas, I think. But anyway, we've been working with the University of Arkansas. We commissioned this study with them, and we use simulation modeling to quantify the environmental impacts of using chemicals to control weeds, insects, diseases for corn, soy, and cotton production across the U.S. And what is a life cycle assessment? It's basically a method to look at all the different impacts and outputs necessary to make a product and quantify the associated environmental and socioeconomic impacts. So we looked at each crop's production practices with and without the use of pesticides, which is kind of an interesting premise. And the Arkansas scientists, well, they are good at what they do. They looked at 3 life cycle assessment crop production scenarios. So just bear with me for a moment. No insect control, no disease control, and no weed control. And then they evaluated greenhouse gas emissions, energy use, land use, and water use. So I mean, really, you're getting the vibe of what this report is going to be all about, you know. And we wanted to make sure that the results were independently verified. So the reason we don't have our pretty slides and copies of the report for you all right now today is that we are having it peer reviewed by the International Organization for Standardization. It's called ISO review. So we're having that done. They're independent, they're non-governmental, and they're composed of representatives from member country standard organizations. So we're waiting for those results, and we'll have them very, very soon.
Oh, terrific. And so when this is released, where can people find the information?
Well, we're going to work obviously with the University of Arkansas to make sure the information is widely available. And of course, it'll be on the CropLife website and other platforms. We will make sure everyone hears all about it. I mean, we are really excited about this because it does help feed the economy. This information is going to help feed the economy. It's going to help tell us that without what we found, I mean, if I have a minute to just tell you about the findings, yeah, I mean, some of the preliminary findings, just to, you know, spoiler alert, is that, you know, without the use of pesticides, we found that crop yields decreased in corn, in cotton, and soybeans, and maybe that's not a surprise, but without the use of pesticides, we also found that land use, water use, energy use, and GHG emissions were able to maintain baseline production levels, and that we had more productivity, which means decreasing the environmental impacts per acre in corn, cotton, and soybean, which is really exciting.
Well, it'd be great to see that peer-reviewed information when you do get it available. And thank you for joining us for your very first event out as CEO and president of CropLife America.
Oh, thank you. And again, happy 20 years.
Oh, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank them for their reports and be on the lookout for those in the future. So we're going to take just a quick minute to change the stage up here one more time. And if you would please look on the screen, we're going to have a video from our sponsor, John Deere. And then I'm going to invite Jeff Nally, who's one of our contributors. You hopefully listen to him on Daybreak every morning. And also listen to Open Mic, our podcast with Jeff. He's been a great friend and ally over the years, and he's going to lead our next panel.
If you think about it, we started looking at farms from way up here, looking at their operations as a whole. Then we started looking at it closer, at what each acre could produce. From there, we examined each row. And now, we're on our way to managing every plant individually, nourishing it, protecting it. Not just for the grain tank, or the grocery shelf, or even the family table, but for the next generation of farm families and global consumers. For them, we're investing in the future by empowering sustainable precision practices. With planting automations, we're giving every seed the same opportunity to succeed. We're using artificial intelligence to target individual weeds, reducing herbicide use by up to 2/3. We're also harvesting for the future right now, with new precision tools, which allows farmers to use predictive yield maps to operate at optimum feed rates. And we're not just harvesting grain. We're harvesting machine and agronomic data through John Deere Operations Center. Data that can be analyzed and optimized so that growers can turn this year's harvest into practical insights that can improve next season's planting. More than that, this data can help farmers turn soil health into dollars. By using Operations Center, they can plan and analyze sustainable practices and quickly enroll in connected programs to earn additional dollars per acre while minimizing their impact to the land. From seed to table, from grain to fuel, from bale to fiber, we're helping farmers the world over get more out of less through sustainable innovations. More value out of every seed, more value out of every plant, more value for future farmers? Precisely.